You're listening to Moviesucktastic.
Words are like the wind. They cannot be carried home.
They can.
Humans think I'm a fool. Words are like the wind. They cannot be carried home.
It all sounds like some bad movie.
Welcome to Moviesucktastic, everybody. I'm Scott. That's Joey, angry at me. And this is episode 140.
Wow. You get the even numbers, don't you?
Mm-hmm. It's a nice round number.
Sure. It's not hard to forget.
And speaking of round numbers, this episode we'll be reviewing Sheena.
Queen of the Jungle.
Well, I mean, that's not... Yeah,
well, it didn't get that title to it. It's based on the comic book Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, but in...
Right.
I think in the European countries where it was released, it was called Sheena, Queen of the Jungle. Actually,
Perhaps.
Most countries it was, except for us, I think.
And this is the 1984
Tanya
sword...
Roberts.
well, no, it's not Sword and Fantasy. I'm thinking of Beastmaster, which is Beastmaster we reviewed last episode 139.
Yep.
This Sheena doesn't take place. It comes 2 years after Beastmaster, which didn't do well in the theater, but started gaining a cult following after, like a few years after it came out. So this could be part of that. As well as it's following on the tails of like Conan coming out, as other things like that too. Also, Greystoke had been a big hit, so that's another reason why they might have. I'm trying to rationalize why a film like Sheena would actually be made.
Well, the film Tarzan, they did a big budget film Tarzan too.
Greystoke, that's what I meant. Greystoke.
No. That's the one with Christopher Lambert. They did another one before that.
I thought Greystoke was the one just before this.
Actually, you know what? I want to say Greystoke came out the same year.
I bet you do. 84, same year.
Yeah. But the other one, God, I can't remember the guy's name. But it came out 1981. It was one with Bo Derek. That was also the one where she's in like some
Clan of the Cave Bear?
No. That's that's Daryl Hannah. No, Bo Derek. The film was directed by John Derek, which was her husband at the time. But the guy that played Tarzan was Miles O'Keefe. Oh God, remember Miles O'Keefe?
How much O'Keefe?
Miles O'Keefe. He did a film in the 80s called Cartel. He did a lot of like B films in the 80s, just like straight to video type stuff. He never gained, the stardom that he thought that he was going to get from when he did Tarzan.
All right, you're thinking of Tarzan the Ape Man, 1981.
Yeah, Tarzan.
Okay, yeah, so that is which came out before Beastmaster. So there's a lot of half-naked people swinging around the jungle in the 80s.
Well, yeah, they were all trying to capitalize on that. He was in Waxwork.
Very unusual. Very unusual. Okay. And Tanya Roberts, who I did not realize until diving into this film, was a Bond girl.
Oh yeah, she was in Never Say Never, right?
No.
Was she in Octopussy? Which one was she in?
No, come on, take another guess.
She was a Bond girl.
Grace Jones, View to a Kill, 1985.
Oh, she did it the next year. Oh, okay.
Right, just after.
Well, it makes sense because in those like 82, 81, 82 through probably around that time, she was huge. And it was mainly because of how beautiful she was, because she was fucking awful actress. I am Sheena, And I was waiting for her to say Queen of the Jungle, but it's just like she probably said, no, that doesn't work. Let's stick with just. It's like you're making decisions. Just sit there and look pretty, okay? Sorry.
No, I can't argue with the acting part. I mean, then again, how do you act the role of Sheena? How do you do the role of Sheena and pull it off? You don't. There's nothing to work with here. And her leading man is Vic Casey, the
Loss,
whose claim to fame is he was in Soap.
He was the father in Blossom.
Well, no, I'm talking about claim to fame. He was Soap. That was his big role. He was in that series for a long time, and then he was also in Sheena. He was in Sheena, and he was also in the film I always remember him for is Oh God, You Devil.
Yep, he was the rock star, the guy that sold his soul to be famous, rich and famous.
Yep. And then God plays gambles for his soul, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
And that's really all he did. That was anything worth mentioning. I think personally.
God, I saw Oh God, You Devil in a movie theater. Jesus.
Oh no, I saw it on cable. I wasn't that bad.
When did that come out? 83. For some reason I don't know. I was in the movie theater a lot when I was young. I almost want to say I saw Sheena in a movie theater, but I know I didn't. I know I caught that on Cinemax a lot.
Now you know what threw me off, and I'm embarrassed. Curse of the Pink Panther. He's the lead character in Curse of the Pink Panther.
Yeah.
And in my head, it was always what's his name. I mean, I remember seeing it as a kid. I haven't really gone back and revisited. But in my head, the actor was what's his name from Rocky Horror Picture Show, Brad.
Oh, right. Yeah, because he's got the glasses and the leisure suit.
Yeah. So my memory always informed me it was him, and then I was doing the research for this, like, holy shit, that was him. Now I have to go back and rewatch Curse of the Pink Panther. Which, all right, let me rephrase that. I don't have to go back and rewatch Curse of the Pink Panther, but I just might.
And I know you don't want to really count it, but he was on Blossom as the dad on that show for a long time.
Yeah, that's Blossom, though. We're talking movies.
Well, you mentioned Soap. That's also
different.
Not a movie.
Soap was a groundbreaking television show. Blossom was a television show.
Well, yeah. But Blossom is what branched him off into directing, too. So he did have a life after he did Sheena. He's directed quite a bit.
At least somebody did.
Just a lot of TV. But yeah, now the film starts off with Sheena. Her real name in the film is Janet.
Damn it!
And her parents, they're what are they? Archaeologists or scientists? Actually,
scientists. They're trying to track down this revolutionary healing dirt in Africa.
Healing Earth.
Yeah, the healing Earth.
Right.
Can I explain this? Just because I get a kick out of this. They're visiting this remote African tribe because they have this earth that they can bury people in, and it cures them of any illnesses they have. And they've dragged their toddler daughter along with them because they're bad parents.
Worst parents ever.
So they go off to try to find the source of whatever gives the healing earth, air quotes, its power. They go into a cave. The child wanders out and calls for them. The mother screams and causes a cave-in that kills the parents. And besides the fact that the child has essentially killed her parents, I personally feel that there can't be any more fitting death anymore. There's nothing more ironic than being crushed to death by the healing earth.
And of course they say it's a prophecy that the blonde child. I mean, first of all,
it's a pretty specific prophecy.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. The second that this child even arrives, it's a girl, blonde, blue eyes. It's like they only realize that this is the prophecy once she kills her parents.
Please, I'm sure blonde children are wandering. Blonde white children probably appear in this African village on a regular basis. They must, because everybody here seems to speak English.
Yeah.
Strange part of Africa where English is the native language. Broken English is the native language. No one speaks anything else.
Yeah.
It's a very specific prophecy, and I forget the whole thing. about a child will appear when the cave screams, which it wasn't the cave, it was a person screaming for help.
Right.
You
Which
could
they
be
didn't even bother to go do. They could still be alive in there, but they never bothered to check.
Yeah, you could be from a remote African tribe and still know the difference between a mystical cave screaming and a woman screaming as a rock crushes her skull.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's just
sound.
What does she call? Yeah. She calls a fucking hippopotamus a water elephant,
water
horse. Or whatever. It's like, yeah, just make shit up, really.
Yeah,
go ahead. I mean, it's already bad enough that this kid's gonna be pretty much stupid because she's not going to have a real education because she's hanging out with you fucking people. But, yeah, let's just make shit up as you go along. It's just, yeah, it's a hippopotamus. You're telling me that you couldn't come up with a better name?
I don't know, water horse is a pretty good name, I guess.
Yeah, it's a great name.
If it looks like a horse.
Sure. You know.
And we'll get on horses in a minute. But also, when the cave-in occurs and the village comes running up and the little pale girl walks out, and she starts reciting the prophecies. Like, the prophecy foretold that a girl would emerge from the screaming cave. It's like, yeah, but the girl didn't emerge from there. She came with her parents. You met her parents, right? The nice people that just disappeared all of a sudden? You know where the girl came from. You know the girl came from, like, the States. I mean, she came in a Jeep. She didn't come from the cave. She came from a Jeep. But the prophecy didn't mention a Jeep, did it? But no, it's very, like any religion. It's very selective. And so, yeah, so they take her on as their... shaman, or
basically keep her against her will, kidnap, so to say.
Well, not kidnap. I mean, her parents are dead. Let's be fair. She killed her parents, not the African tribe.
I'm sure she has relatives somewhere in the States that she could have lived with.
You know, if they did, maybe the relatives would have made the parents leave the girl with them. Really, you're going to go to African tribes and like dig up dirt? I mean. She can go to school here. We'll watch her. No. We want exposure to the world.
I would say, and that probably is a possibility that she could have stayed behind, but the parents are just, no. She's coming with us. She's got to learn this sometime because this is her future. She's going to learn to do this stuff too.
Right. So
and what is she, like 4? So she's not in school anyway.
No, but still, even a better reason not to drag her across the fucking African outback.
Of course not.
Now,
worst parents ever. This film, that opening makes bad parents feel better about themselves.
See, we never left you to die in the African outback. Is there an African outback? Do I sound like a complete idiot when I say African outback? It just feels right.
You can say the jungle. Just say the jungle.
Just say the jungle. Okay. Outback is probably specifically for Australia, but both continents begin with an A, so I think it should work.
Okay.
Because it's alliteration.
That's fine.
It's not actually. It's not because it's an A and an O. Anyway, Sheena's not raised by animals. She's raised by the shaman, but they have the unnatural ability to, and there's no mystical reason of coming out of a yak womb like in Beastmaster to explain it. She just has the ability now, as does the shaman, to talk to the animals. But not in like a Beastmaster way where they like say things or communicate. She can call them. She's the Aquaman of the desert.
What's interesting is your original connection from Beastmaster to this was essentially
cruelty to animals.
And
half-naked stars. Yeah.
Right, but and the thing is,
and Tanya Roberts.
Well, yeah, but I forgot about the whole animal summoning, being able to talk telepathically. That could have been the connection right there. End of story.
Yeah. No, I forgot all about that part.
Yeah, I'm watching it. I'm seeing her do this crap with her, like that. I immediately had to make a meme out of it. But it's just like, what is that? First, it's stupid, but second, it's like she's talking to animals. You've got to be kidding me.
Talking as much as again, I like to compare it to Aquaman because she's kind of summoning them. You know, but you can't make that noise underwater. I mean, in the air. So, yeah. And what I like most about the thing, when she communicates to the animals or summons them, she puts her fingertips to her head, like she's like pressing a cold compress there or something.
Right.
And my favorite part is when, and I'm jumping ahead a bit here, is when the king's brother, the king's fiance, aka the king's brother's lover, kidnaps her to throw her into the waterfall next to her village.
Right.
Because shooting her would have been way too complicated. When she fires the gun in the helicopter, and Sheena goes to call the flamingos to save her life. I swear to God, I'm not making any of this up. She actually like fakes her out. She puts her hand to her head and thinks, "Oh, I have a headache from your fire stick making noise that hurts my ears." Like, you don't have to lie. She has no idea what the hell you're doing anyway. It's like if you were kidnapping a jungle woman in your helicopter and she put her hand to her head, you smack it away and say, "No calling flamingos for you. I know what you're up to." No.
And just that scene, special effects, it's all animated because that's the only thing they had back then.
I jumped ahead too much. I apologize.
Awful.
That cutting thing.
Terrible green screen. Awful.
Okay.
I thought, and again, if it happened, it could have been the connection between Beastmaster and this too. I thought she was a fucking seagull or flamingo. She was going to hop on one and fly away. I completely forgot how that scene went, and I'm like, holy shit! If that happened, that could have been your connection too, from the hawk picking up the kid, and her flying away on a fucking flamingo.
Well, it's even worse because they can't have the flamingos fly into the helicopter blades because that would be bad. So they had the flamingos fly into the helicopter and peck everybody.
Yeah.
And flamingos have those curved beaks that kind of go under, so they're not really good at pecking. It'd be more like
kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could easily punch a flamingo.
Oh,
and
easily.
Then just
I
push it out of the helicopter.
I actually recommend punching a flamingo if you get the chance. Not only is it easy, it's fun.
Yeah.
And but if you want to talk bad special effects, sir, and we want to talk cruelty to animals,
but very quickly to end that, when the helicopter crashes, they used airplane noises for it.
Well, sure.
Just
like when the helicopter's shooting at them in the desert, you keep hearing these ricochet noises. So what the hell, what part of the dirt are these bullets ricocheting off? And not even like dull ones, it's like sharp ones, like they're like it's ricocheting off of like a bucket or something. But yeah, to sidetrack back to the talk of bad special effects and animal cruelty, one of the reasons this film came up in the first place for me when I was discussing it with Holly was that she mentioned the horse painted like a zebra.
Or what does she call it? A zorse?
Well, no, that's God. I love the internet. That's why, because we're watching the film, and I'm getting yelled at for making her watch the film, and we're discussing the whole idea of them painting
as you should. My wife doesn't even. She just knows not to watch this shit with me. She
kind of. The whole implication during the film, what she said was like, they couldn't use a zebra, so they had to paint a horse. And I asked her, well, why can't they ride a zebra? She's like, well, they can't. I said, but do you have a reason? So I don't know. I just assumed it. So next thing you know, we're both Google phoning, trying to get the answer first. And apparently, you technically can train a zebra to ride, but apparently it takes 10 times as long and is considered an extreme waste of time. And they also have weaker vertebra, and they tend to kick people off and stomp them and trample them when they try to ride them. So Tanya Roberts, reasonably would not be the kind of person you'd put on a zebra. And they do actually, some people do crossbreed zebras with horses so you can ride them, and those are called zorses. It's an actual thing.
Really?
Yeah, and I said, you know what? I would, if I had the means, I would own a zorse just so I could say it. And that's where we keep the zorse. The what? The zorse.
You don't know about the zorse?
You've never ridden a zorse? I mean, but yeah. So apparently it's impossible. Well, apparently it's also impossible to use African animals in Africa. They had to import to Africa. Like
that's right. So I read it was just one of the largest. Or imports to Africa of African animals.
Yeah.
and on set, they were having so many problems with wild animals coming on the set to try and attack tame animals. They had to actually, it was more trainer problems. And yeah.
Well, let's be fair, not just attack the animals, but if you're shooting anywhere in Africa, animals in Africa, especially like out in the desert or in the jungle, they tend to have the run of the place. They don't understand what a closed set is. So they'll just kind of like, all right, now we're here.
Yeah.
They don't know. Yes, they had to import all these animals, and apparently they had to paint the worst part about the zebra painting job is that it's so bad.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's because the lines are so distinct, and when it gets down to like the arm where the lines meet, it's like you could tell someone without any real, someone who had never painted a zebra before was told to paint a zebra. Says, well, I guess the lines, and they probably looked at pictures.
Right.
It's the lines go here and they go here, and there's like they're all solid lines. There's not one like there's no distinction between black and white. It's just solid lines. It's like a crosswalk.
I wonder, because she rode that zebra quite a bit in the film. I wonder how often.
Horse.
We'll call it a zebra for the movie because that's what it's supposed
to be.
It a horse.
Okay. We'll call it a horse. Thank you very much.
I wonder how often she's cleaning up her crotch full of black paint.
Oh, easy there. Come on.
What? Did I go too far?
I was just thinking of chafing myself.
I was a little less worried about chafing. I mean, they're using probably ink that killed the goddamn horse. Like they killed the tiger in Beastmaster.
I'm sure that the horse didn't die. I mean, horse. It's not like. I never heard any horror stories about the horse. I wonder if the paint washed off though. I don't think it did.
Maybe not.
They also had the elephant, and then they had the two monkeys who don't do anything. They just kind of wander around. At the end, they throw a rock, and that's it.
Yeah.
Other than that,
well, the one kind of warns her throughout the film. Oh, some shit's happening over there. This is happening over here. Oh, here's a grenade that should blow up in my face, but I'm going to throw it anyway. And
I'll give
just
you that.
In time.
They do a little bit, but most of the time they're just walking hand in hand, back and forth.
Yeah.
Which is a waste of time because they're monkeys. They could be riding tricycles and making in half the time.
Sure.
Because that's their natural habitat.
Or just be getting it on monkey style in the jungle.
Ew. But anyway.
That's what they do. Saw a documentary about that last night. It was pretty creepy.
I bet it was a documentary.
It was.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, I was watching it and I learned something, so that's a documentary.
Sure. That's my story, and I'm going to stick with it.
Now, the only thing more offensive than the animals in the film is, of course, Africa itself. It tends to be very offensive in the movie.
Yeah.
We have the King of Africa, and there's a plot to kill the King of Africa by the King of Africa's brother.
And what was his name? Jambaloni? It just sounded like a really fake name.
Oh, well, of course it's a fake
Jabulani.
name.
They should have just called him, Lama Lama Ding Dang. I mean, what the fuck?
King
Jambalani?
Well, I'm sure Jabulani. I'm sure that there probably is an African named Jabulani. I'm sure they did some research. They didn't call him like King Watusi or something like that. It was they and then his brother was Prince Atwani, and
Jabulani.
They were both banging Countess Xanda.
I loved her high five. That was just fantastic. Vic Casey comes in. He high fives the king.
Vic
and the king's
Casey.
Like, yeah, he high fives the king, and he's like, "Oh, yeah." Then he introduces himself as the king, and he's immediately apologetic because obviously you don't do that with the king. But then she comes over, and she sticks out her hand, and he high fives her, and she just goes, "Cool," and then they walk away. But it was the way she was like, "Cool."
I think Vic Casey's original name in the film was supposed to be Joe Bag of Donuts, but they changed it. To be a bit more, non-New Yorky.
We'll get to the scene when it comes up. I'll put in the audio so we can listen to it.
Of what?
When she says "cool," because it's coming up in a couple of minutes. I'll be looking for it.
So the treacherous, the king's treacherous younger brother / football star, because that makes the plot that much easier to follow.
Sure.
Is going to kill the king to take over because he wants to invade the Navi.
The Gajari Mountain.
They want to wipe out the Navi and get the unobtainium from underneath their village.
Are you saying James Cameron ripped off Sheena?
I'm saying he's trying to invade this native land to get a rare mineral from underneath their town, and all I could think of is this. I'm watching Avatar again. I'm like stuck in the time loop.
Well, you can't challenge it to me.
Only instead of unobtainium, they called it platinum, whatever that is.
You can't challenge it to me, just so you know.
I know. We've already been there. Done that.
That was episode 7. All right, here comes the scene. Here, I'll put the audio on.
Jabbalani.
Oh, Jesus. Excuse me.
I found it tingling and delightful. Our intended bride, Princess Senda.
Cool.
Please follow us, Mr. Casey.
Let's get the bags.
It's just so bad.
And I find it interesting that, and of course, I mean, just because it's taking place in Africa, the white people don't have to be the bad guys. I understand that. It's not like we have to have that, even though they usually are. But here we have a situation where we have the king of Africa being killed.
Well, they end the whole movie on that. That we're the bad guys, or at least Vic Casey goes in this little
he does.
That's just a small thing. Seriously,
she's a blonde white girl rallying the African tribe to protect themselves against the rulers of Africa, who in this film aren't the white apartheid. It's just King Jumbandi.
Jabbalani.
So there's a lot of reality being ignored in this film. Jambalaya, exactly. So there's a lot of reality, apartheid reality, especially being ignored in this Africa, to present us with a whole plot of conquest and destruction of culture, but being done from within without us being the culprits. So it's a little bit insulting.
A little
bit. The scene where Sheena has her hands in chains, and she's like, "We too we can be free." So, we didn't need the white girl to tell us this.
She didn't say we can be free.
Yeah, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but she's talking about them rising up. She's talking about her being chained. She's talking about being free.
Well, she's talking about even in chains that they can beat them. Yes, you're right.
The symbology of people in chains unshackling themselves is about freeing themselves. In this case, freeing themselves from the oppression.
Agreed. I won't disagree.
Right. Can you tell me why they have an amphibious tank when there's no water anywhere?
No.
Okay, I was curious about that.
No, I can't answer that. So now after all right.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the brother. He sets up his brother's death to make it look like the shaman who comes to town to talk to him. The girlfriend, the two-timing girlfriend, sets it up. She just uses it. Well, yeah, but she uses that. I guess they were going to do it a different way. They didn't really go into it. Maybe they were going to poison him. I don't know. But she comes to town, and they decide to use that as how the king gets killed.
No, they were still going to use the arrow, but her coming to town was like, great, we can frame her for it right away. They were still going to try to frame it on that town, but then her coming in the town to try to warn him was like, now we have an actual patsy, not just a generic, here's the arrow.
Really convenient.
Yes, very convenient. Just as convenient as that being exactly where the camera was pointing when he was changing film and other things like that.
And they're pretty dumb down there because she walks out from an area where the arrow doesn't even shoot out of, and literally 5 seconds after he gets shot in the heart with an arrow, there's like, we found her with this bow. Like 5 seconds later, they didn't. Really I know no, they didn't time it right, and I know you have to have a little. What is the term? Suspension of disbelief, but it's just ridiculous. It's just
not a murder
poorly
case.
Poorly done.
Not in a murder case, sir. Then that's when the belief cannot be suspended. Well, it's unlikely, but I'll go with it. No.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
And we forgot to mention Vic Casey's partner, Barbara from Police Academy, and also the brother from Popeye.
Mm-hmm. That's my favorite role of his was Castor Oil.
in Popeye. And what's interesting too is I can't remember, but we did another film not that long ago that he was in, and we were making Police Academy references in that one too.
Actually, it was I don't know about film, but we did do the Christmas episode, and he played the Santa Claus in the episode, the Christmas episode from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
That must have been what it was.
That might be what we were thinking. You're thinking of. Now, after they arrest the shaman uses it. Now she uses the same animal thing to call Sheena, which to me seems like a cheat because I thought they just summon animals, not each other. Because that would be telepathy instead of animal empathy.
I always and I mentioned it earlier in the show. I just refer to it as just telepathic ability to talk to animals and whatnot. So I don't see why they. It's stupid, but why they couldn't just do it between the two of them as well.
Well, then why couldn't she do it to Casey? Or why couldn't she do it? Why couldn't she do it to the authorities? You have the wrong man. Why couldn't she do that to the king? Why couldn't she do that to the king? You're in danger.
And believe me, this is just me saying it. Maybe it can only be between her, anyone that's really in tune with the jungle and the animals and all that bullshit. I don't know. It's wrong.
Anybody who can talk to animals can talk to each other too.
Well,
I mean, now
I don't know.
When she summons Sheena to jailbreak her, she brings the elephant, who is apparently impervious to razor wire and electricity.
Yeah.
And during the breakout scene, they play what is probably the most romantic music in the entire film.
Yeah. Dun 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun. You're waiting for like the magic kiss, and instead it's like monkeys.
Well, I think they did that because that scene is actually on now. I think they did that to have Vic Casey for that love affair to just start at that moment.
I guess
and that's why the music.
Yeah, but what it comes down to is a prison break to romantic music, and it just doesn't work.
No.
Yeah. And did I miss the part where the shaman was mortally wounded during the escape?
Well, that's the thing too. She wasn't. She was all fucked up before she even got in there to rescue her. So apparently they beat the living shit out of her for whatever. I mean, I don't understand why they even needed to do it, but they beat the ever loving shit out of her to death because she just dies later from her wounds. So, hey. Again, it's like you said later in the film, just shooting her would have been too easy. Listen, they're framing her for the murder of the king. They didn't need to beat the shit out of her. They don't need to beat the shit out of her.
They could have shot her while she escaped. I mean, they could have shot her. They could have shot her out there and put the bow in her hands. And look, we saw her with the bow and arrow. We shot her.
She's obviously the one that did it.
Every plan of this film is like, okay, I've got an idea, and I can end it right now. Well, I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to keep going.
She doesn't look that fucked up either, though.
No, she looks like maybe she was like shot in the arm or something.
She looks like she got one good punch in the face and one good punch in the gut.
Well, she was old. That can do it, And then during her old
death, and that's another thing. I mean, she didn't look that old when she found her. What is it, 20 years later? How old is she?
Well, they age well. They live on the healing earth. I'm assuming they age well.
Are you saying
Sheena
black
could be
don't
like
crack?
50 for all we know.
Are you saying black don't crack?
No, I'm saying healing earth heals all wounds.
All right, you've obviously never heard the term, so it's not as funny as I was going for.
Obviously I haven't. You mentioned the part when Sheena's talking to the shaman and she's dying. In the background, the elephant's digging the grave.
Yeah, I mean, the elephant fucking gets it. Sheena don't get it. The elephant's like,
oh, we're getting better. The elephant's like, no, sorry.
Ain't happening, Sheena. Don't you see what I'm doing? You think I want to do this? I'm digging a grave with my trunk. Do you know how hard that shit is?
The monkeys are building a coffin out of coconuts in the back.
No. What I wanted to see was the elephant just walking over and just rolling her into this fucking thing and then start putting dirt back in, or eat her and then just shit in the hole. I would have either taken one of those scenes. That's what hey.
Either would have been dramatic.
Very.
Yeah.
Very.
Later on, you see the monkeys playing with her head.
Either scene ends with the elephant throwing dirt back in the hole.
Right.
So.
But Vic's there when she breaks the shaman out. She chases her. He drives his car through the jungle to find her, and then there's a whole thing where they have the film that proves that the prince is the one that killed the king, and so there's a whole thing about trying to get that out of Africa back to the mainland where they can, give it to the media. And Vic is trying to. Vic's pretty much stuck with Sheena and trying to protect her, and she's trying to protect him, vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a lot of running around and a lot of nudity. I don't remember so much nudity in this film either.
Quite a bit.
And it's a PG film, and there's 2 almost full frontal shots. When I say almost, they're not frontal; they're side. But full side nudity with like nipple, that's for me. That's enough.
I mean, you see her from the waist up twice in the movie. One when she's bathing, and then one, actually both times. She's going swimming, and then the second time is with Vic Casey.
Right.
You just see her from the waist up. So,
Oh,
I mean,
you
it's
see
still
her
not a
full
full...
length. From the side, you see her full length.
Full
both
length.
Scenes.
Yeah, you see her directly from the back, then she turns to the side. So you see like 3/4 of her.
Yeah, I'm saying it's a side shot. It's not like where she just turns her shoulders. You see side everything. It's a side. It's full side nudity.
Yep. PG.
Yeah.
Parental guidance.
Oh, let's also not forget at the end, what's his name? The lead singer from Judas Priest. He takes a spear to the throat.
Yeah, and not in a nice way either. The way he thrusts it into his throat, it's not one of those cutaway scenes either. You see it.
Say it's not an off-camera dagger in the spear in the throat. It's now this is going into your throat. It's like, oh, and we're gonna watch you die. Slide down the tree. We watch him die after
on
taking
his knees.
No, on his back. He's not leaning against a tree.
Yeah, but he slides onto his knees.
I wouldn't say on his knees. He was still leaning back.
He was on his knees.
But I'm just saying. I don't think he's on his knees.
You should watch the movie again.
Well, it's playing, and
we're never going to get to that part. This is a 2-hour movie, for Christ's sakes.
It's a pretty graphic scene for a PG movie. Besides all the nudity.
Besides it, yep.
I mean, up until that point, I was thinking, well, yeah, all right, a lot of nudity, but PG, whatever. And then like the spear in the throat, right in the Adam's apple, and that was a pretty brutal. And it's a long scene because it stops. It's not just a quick boom, boom, boom. It's like he holds it there and he like points the gun. The gun doesn't fire. He's like, apparently it's Japanese, and just and he pulls it out again.
Well, and the thing is too, he loads the gun. He gets one bullet in there,
right?
And he pulls the trigger once. He doesn't try and pull. He doesn't try and pull it 5 more times.
He only has one bullet in it because he just put one bullet in there.
But if he clicked it, well, I don't know about that.
What do you mean? You don't know about that?
He put a bullet in there.
Right. He didn't spin the chamber. He closed it, so he knew where the bullet was. And that was why he was going to do the one shot.
Listen, right, I got a spear in my throat. I'm clicking more times. Yeah, that's just what I would do.
Now, on the one hand, I'm going to say he's a professional. He knows where the bullet is. When it doesn't go, he's done. Then again, if he was so professional, he would have had a fucking speed loader on him. So let's, it can go either way.
If he was such a professional, he would have at least tried to put a second bullet in there. But that's me.
Well, if you know what you're doing, you don't one bullet, one kill.
There's a scene in the film too where he's got his shirt off, and I guess he's supposed to be like the muscle, and he doesn't have any of that. He just looks like an extra that got cut out of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I
just
dug the
looks
guy.
like some guy that didn't make it.
I like the guy in the back of the Jeep, with the black guy with the shades carrying the like the minigun.
Oh,
He was like right out of Predator. Like that was like the Jesse Ventura of this film that we never got a chance to see. I ain't got time to bleed. Which gave me an idea for a great remake of. Yeah, and they should have a remake of Predator, where it's a group of mercenaries go into the jungle to try to save, do a rescue mission, and instead end up being hunted down and killed by a blonde model. I think it'd be awesome.
Hey, why not?
Schwarzenegger back in it. No one ugly, but actually you're pretty good looking.
I'd see it. I'd watch it.
Instead of being invisible, she just just descend on the vine. They had her swinging on a lot of vines in this film.
Sure did.
Oh, and there's that one shot during the Jeep scene at the end, where it's supposed to be Sheena riding at the Jeep, full throttle, and whatever man they got to be the stand-in for her didn't quite cut it even at that distance. No. Like the hair looks dark. It's just like whatever they put on his head didn't work. The legs are way too muscular. It's like that's not even a woman, let alone Sheena.
And I had that horse go head first right in the sand. It's like, is this necessary?
Yes.
Obviously. I loved it when the two Jeeps collided too, and Casey comes flying out on fire. Ah! Fatal burn wounds. I hear they're painless.
That was the weirdest lines. All I can think of to say is, "Shit." Like, what?
It's like I should have turned.
Yes. Anything but just shit. It was just. It was like a weird stab at humor during a scene where the guy is like dying from 3rd-degree burns all over like 70% of his body. It's like, I don't know if one-liners is what we're aiming for in the scene here, guys. I think dial it back a bit, just a tad.
Yeah, I mean, from the neck up, he's fine. Which apparently you can't go any further with the healing earth. Neck up, you're on your own.
Yeah, head wounds are really a no-go there.
Yeah.
I still think it'd be funny when they drove in. They just took his head off when they came in at the end. Nick, no! But wouldn't that heal back though?
If he's in there, maybe. Just another one just grows out of that spot. A less attractive. Well,
when they skid and they hit the brakes and like the dirt flies up, Holly was like, "Well, now he's got dirt in his eyes." And I said, "Well, it's the healing dirt, so it'll heal the eye.
He'll have 20/20.
Yeah, exactly. It'll heal the wound it causes. So
yeah,
the healing earth has to be trickier than that, but it makes sense to me.
Can we talk about real quick just all the upskirts in this movie?
Oh no, not at all. Unacceptable.
There's at least 3 really good ones. The best one is in the clip that I played in the beginning of the show, where you actually see the thong that she's wearing actually thongs right into her vagina. So when she bends back, you see vagina.
Well, you see, because you're looking.
And I'm looking real hard, too.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to see. It was one of the things that I talked about in the last episode, before I knew you were going to challenge me to it, was that, because she was in Beastmaster, and I brought up Sheena about how I could have sworn, because I hadn't seen this since I was a kid, that there was a scene in the movie where he's looking up, where she's climbing something. I didn't remember if it was a tree or not. But she's climbing something, and I'm like, I could swear you could see her vagina. And I was right. And it was actually better than I remembered. Because it thongs her vagina. Just like our mechanical penis video that you can see on our YouTube page.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly like that. And if you haven't seen it, you should go to our YouTube page now. YouTube.com/Moviesucktastic and find it.
You know what? I hardly remembered any of this film, but this scene that just came up here, it was the one scene I remembered the minute it came up to it, where he has the tape recorder, says, "I am no fool. Words are not like the wind. Well, words are like the wind. They cannot be carried home." And he records it and plays it back to her.
Like, yeah.
Don't ask me why that line stuck in my head, but like I knew the line before it came out.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't remember a lot of the lines in this movie at all.
I remember specifically that part. Everything else was like watching it for the first time, but I specifically remember tape recorder. I am not a fool. Words like the wind, they cannot be carried home.
And he plays it back. He's like, "Who's stupid now?"
Yeah. Ha ha. Ha ha. Miss Jungle Lady. Ha. The water that the trucks drink.
What did she refer to them as? Soldier wagons?
Who wrote the wagons that the water that the wagons drink? Who wrote that?
Wagons. The soldier wagons. I'll tell you who wrote that. Somebody that actually has some decent shit under his belt. The fuck?
The water that the wagons drink? Come on.
David Newman and David Newman and what is it? Lorenzo? Is it Lorenzo? Lorenzo something. And both screenwriters, they got some decent shit under their belt. Lorenzo Semple Jr. David Newman in his repertoire. Bonnie and Clyde, What's Up Doc,
All
Superman.
Right. Superman 3.
Superman 3.
Oh, is this the guy that I was actually with that one time? I wonder if this is him.
No, isn't that the guy that wrote Superman 4? It's a different guy.
Was it Superman 3 or 4? I'm trying to remember which one
4,
it was.
Quest for Peace. I remember you specifically saying it was Quest for Peace.
Damn it. I was like, damn,
Sorry.
I think I know this person. Yeah. Yeah, the one guy's got Superman 3 under his belt, so that's like a negative right there. Even though I like the film, come on.
But at the beginning of his career, he's doing films like Bonnie and Clyde and What's Up Doc, even, Bad Company. So, I mean, not a lot of good things under his belt. Yeah. But Lorenzo Semple, he's got more, like he's got Papillon. He did 3 Days of the Condor. He wrote that. Then he did King Kong, but the one with Jessica Lange. But then he did Flash Gordon. He wrote Flash Gordon too.
Okay, now
80s Cheese Fest, but still.
Let's keep in mind stuff like 3 Nights of the Condor, or 3 Days of the Condor. That's based off of a novel, so there's dialogue and stuff that's just being transferred to the screen.
You can still fuck that. But still, I'm just saying he's got some decent things under his belt too.
Okay, but the dialogue is still pretty atrocious in Sheena.
Oh, it's awful. No, all I'm pointing out is that you have 2 screenwriters that have, up until this point, were doing halfway decent stuff. And then they collaborated on Sheena. And it just went all out the window. That's all I was saying.
If you call Santa Claus the movie halfway decent, okay. Moonwalker, there you go.
He did that after Sheena.
Even better. It doesn't...
I'm talking about pre-Sheena.
Superman 2 and 3. Even Superman 1. Come on.
If you're gonna compare it to Sheena, I didn't say amazing stuff. I didn't say great stuff. I said decent. Where are you taking my definition of decent?
I'm just saying that the dialogue in Superman is not that hot either. So it kind of proves my point. Who's got me?
This is so exhausting.
Who's got you?
It's fucking exhausting. You exhaust me, sir, like an ex-girlfriend.
I'm just saying it's not the best screenwriting.
I never said it was the best, or
I'm not arguing with you.
Summoning a tiger right now is what I'm doing.
And I wasn't a fan of the Parallax to begin with, so I thought it was pretty. I don't know.
Anyway, have we gotten our fill out of Sheena? Is there anything else to touch base on?
Was before
yeah, 4 years.
I cannot believe that Flash Gordon was before Sheena. I would swear it's the other way around. It's like taking a step backwards. That's sad.
I still like Flash Gordon. So do we want to go ahead and rate this on IMDb?
Is there anything else we missed? We were talking about Sheena. I mean, we discussed
we brought up everything. The Zorse,
we mentioned Tanya Roberts' vagina.
Her vagina, any upskirts, the romantic subplot, the the mischievous
All right,
brother.
All right, I want to underline one of my favorite bad dialogue scenes.
Okay.
It's when she crafts the flaming arrow out of a reed, hay, and a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
And she says, "It is a good arrow," and then Vic Casey is like, "But it is top heavy." And she puts 3 fingers under it and holds it. And he goes, "Yes, by 3 fingers."
But they never correct it either. They just go with the arrow they made.
Right, but even then, like, it's not like she measures anything out. She just holds 3 fingers under it and weighs it. Goes, "Yes, by 3 fingers." If she had put 2 fingers under it, would there have been a difference? No. It was just like a random. She's not pouring whiskey. What? I don't know.
Enough for 1 second in the entire film that I believe that she could shoot a fucking arrow at any point.
I like the part where she's got the arrow, for lack of a better word, cocked, and she's following the soldier wagon carrying the water for the wagons, and she's panning and she's dragging the arrow over the bushes in front of her, and I'm waiting for the whole thing just to go up in flames. So, she's got the fire on the front of it. And,
yeah, at some point you're thinking, oh, she's going to light the whole thing on fire. But it was interesting, like you mentioned that, because the camera is following her, and in some of the shots it looks like they cut away a part of the bush, and then in some shots it looks like, oh, this bush is a problem, let's cut some of it away. And it interweaves those shots.
And here I want to argue the logic of the film as well, because she shoots the Swiss Army arrow through the side of a oil can, gasoline can,
right?
Which I've got assuming that they're not that soft.
No.
But she enters in there and it catches on fire. So there's a gasoline fire all over the gasoline cans in the back of the truck, and a helicopter flies in, hovers over it, and puts out the gas fire.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive that that's not possible.
I'm no expert, never claimed to be, but I always read that air makes a fire breathe better. The more air you add to a flame, the bigger it's going to get. That helicopter comes in and puts a ton of air on it.
It blows out a gasoline fire, and I don't think you can actually blow out a gasoline fire. I'm pretty sure if that's how that worked, all they have to do is send helicopters over forest fires and just let them hover there.
Yeah, if anything, it's going to make the fire worse. But
so
it puts it out.
If they want us to believe helicopters can put out gasoline fires by hovering there, I'm willing to believe that helicopters can be killed by flamingos.
Yeah.
So I'll let that go full circle. And just one more thing on the zebra painting on the horse. Is there anything that would have prevented them from just saying... I mean, I'm assuming there are wild horses in Africa too, right?
We'll say yes.
Okay, so why can't she just be riding a wild horse? Why does it have to be a zebra? I know, because zebra is Africa, but
yeah,
it's either we can get a real horse or a fake zebra. Which one's going to look better?
Yeah. You know, it's interesting you mentioned that too, because in the last episode you mentioned in Beastmaster, why wouldn't they just use a Siberian tiger? It's still impressive. Now, right. I never saw any of the sequels, but do you know what they use in Beastmaster 2? A Siberian tiger. Because they ain't killing another one of those things.
Don't need that. That's just, when they
I'm wondering if A, the tiger, it's the same tiger in Beastmaster 2, same tiger, same name, or B, if it is the same tiger, do they explain why he's now got the stripes?
Wow.
Do they come up with some wacky... It's like, oh, it was black magic. Remember that day? You were black and now you're not.
That would be good screenwriting. That would be good writing, though. So I would have to say it. I seriously doubt they don't do that.
Now, I've never seen either of the Beastmaster sequels, and I am gonna watch them now. I have to. I need to see that second one.
Oh wow!
Most of all.
That's Just a little interesting aside here. Earlier, when I told you that Tanya Roberts was a Bond girl, and you were trying to guess which movie she was in, and you said "Never Say Never Again," and it was actually "View to a Kill." The one screenwriter, Lorenzo Semple Jr., wrote "Never Say Never Again."
Wow.
So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. It's almost a full circle thing. Almost, but it's not.
Almost. Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and rate this. Now,
Sure.
It's 4.6 on IMDb. To me, that's actually a little high, because that's almost getting it to average.
I agree.
And
I'm thinking of an easy 4 here.
yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't go less than that, because there is some decent nudity in it. Some
I was
upskirts
just gonna say,
and
breasts equal at least a 4. Yes.
and you get to see it's underwear malfunctions with Tanya Roberts. Why not? So I like 4. I think 4 is good.
I'm in agreement, and
Okay.
I think Big Casey would be too. 4 it is.